Welcome back to the program. I'm here to interview James McAreavey of a Maritime Society of the exact name?
Newry, our city.
The Newry Maritime Association Society.
It's an association, yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to see you, Lucia.
The first sort of entree I had into what you do would be this, a clip Rowan had of the Saga Pearl cruise ship coming to town. So I'd like to know a bit more about how your association is connected with that.
Saga Pearl came to Warren Point, which is the port for the city of Newry, just 6 miles south of Newry, at the head of Carlingford Lough. And it was very important because it was the first cruise ship that we had in the port, Lisa.
And people were sitting in deck chairs watching it come in.
Oh, there were thousands of people. And it was a throwback to the end of the 1960s, early 70s,
really?
When we used to have a huge influx of visitors from Belfast. And of course, when the Troubles came, people tended to restrict their travel and one thing and another, and that died off. But it was really a sight to behold.
A real celebration.
The ship
But
came
international people, not just people from Belfast. Only international.
There were people from all over, and you know, the ship came in for 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning, and it was a lovely sunny. The sun was shining,
gorgeous.
And there were
Like
thousands
today.
of people there at that time of the morning. And then when it left in the evening time at 5 o'clock, again, right along the loch, the whole way for 12 miles down the Green Oar, there were people the whole way along, and the captain actually wrote in his report that the passengers were most enthused and that he would recommend that they come back.
Because the Newry people were waving and saying goodbye.
Yeah, they really got
One of the
reception.
things that we can update you on, and James will update us on it, the minister responsible for public development here, he was in town this week and officially declared open the canal side walkways, which are magnificent altogether. You were there for that, James.
Yeah,
and
we were there
sculpture
yesterday.
was unveiled.
Yeah. We have a new boulevard, Lisa, right along the canal.
The canal is such a pretty part of this town.
Have you seen it?
Well, I've been around, walking around the last few days only, and it's really
Well,
gorgeous.
that new boulevard
I haven't seen the sculpture.
along the canal, that was just officially opened yesterday. That was a 10-month scheme, and it involves £2.4 million of inward investment. There was 2 million came from the Department of Social Development in Belfast and 400,000 from our local council here. So the minister came from Belfast yesterday to officially declare the scheme open.
Fabulous.
And there was a public art piece down at the southern end at Buttercrane Shopping Centre, and it was officially unveiled yesterday. It's called Trading Place.
And can you describe it for the viewers?
Yeah, it's a wave-shaped art piece.
Out of stainless steel?
Bronze.
Bronze.
And it was commissioned from an artist called Chris Wilson, who was a native of Glengormley outside Belfast, but he lives on the north coast up at Ballycastle, County Antrim.
Funny thing that you mentioned there so easily. You expected it to be stainless steel.
Not necessarily, but
my observation is that Canada would be more of a stainless steel place than a bronze place. Bronze is more bohemian and ancient. Canada is thrusting forward and on.
It depends. It depends where you are. Bronze has come back. It's really quite popular, and it's such a traditional and hard-wearing material. And
Yes,
of course, then kids can rub it, and you know the patina gradually comes off, so you got a little bit. Can people touch it?
Oh yeah.
You know, I'm into
Absolutely.
artwork with touch, as we know. And so I've done a few bronzes myself, and it's such a beautiful material. You have to get the right lost wax process and all of that. So can these Zoomers come off the cruise ship and see some of these? I knew that would
Davy
get Rowan.
Beck raises his eyebrows.
Maybe you could describe
a tipping
Yeah,
of a
well,
Zoomer.
I want to ask, if you are a Zoomer, are you a baby boomer?
What does that mean?
What does it mean exactly?
Yeah.
It means it's a baby boomer with zip. So and zip in your pocket. So you've got a lot of cash flow. You know? Maybe you're semi-retired. You're going on cruise ships.
You're talking about me again.
Well, you're not semi-retired, I don't think, from what I see.
But I'm 71.
Well, you're still working very hard.
Thank
Although
you.
some
You're
people
very
might
kind.
not call this work.
No.
Do you consider
on.
your society work? Are you retired, semi-retired?
More or less, yeah.
So this group is a hobby for you.
Yeah,
No, it's more. No, it's not a hobby. It's a passion.
Yeah.
It's his religion.
well, it's
I'm glad
voluntary
we can
work.
have other religions of this sort. You
Religion
know,
of the sea. Manon, the god of the
cultural
sea.
and just maritime oriented.
Yeah, well, it's voluntary work in the community, Lisa. You know.
Yeah.
And we feel that we're making a difference and preserving the history of the old port of Newry as well as the people who created that history.
Yeah.
You know, and
So it
that's
doesn't
the
become
important
erased.
thing. Yeah. You know.
And then people who live here and visitors
Oh, yes.
can enjoy it.
That's right. Well, I mean, someone like you that wouldn't know anything about
Exactly.
that body of water, it's very, very necessary to have markers and
Yeah, what do you
pieces
do
of
with
art.
the markers? Because that's a whole art in itself. It's graphic design, it's public art.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what we're about. I mean, we have a couple of weeks ago. I was speaking to Rowan. We, along with the council, we made a submission to the Pride of Place Awards. Now, that's an all Ireland competition for local authorities to submit an entry on behalf of their district, which they feel represents social inclusion and creates civic identity. And Newry and Mourne Council, along with ourselves, made a submission, and the new canal side walkway was the linchpin for
Sounds
the submission.
like it. Sounds great.
And then we also included different schemes that have been done over the last 3 years. We had the refurbishment of the Linen Hall Gate at the north end. We have a statue, a sculpture of one of the original navvies who built the canal.
Would you still call them navvies?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That-
yeah.
That's not unpolitically correct?
That's the piece of
No,
work that he's been
Navi-
talking about.
Navvy
No, you
is,
look at it, because they can't see it. I'm going to suggest, if you don't mind.
Navvy is
Is that-
short
Page
for,
3.
Page
short
3
for
it is.
navigator.
Yeah.
It's the shortened version
Also,
of
it's just like an
navigator.
Australianism.
Yeah.
They shorten everything.
You know, it's a recognised term for a labourer, navvy.
I just thought it
Especially-
wasn't politically correct.
Especially
Oh, no,
for...
it's
Canadians
totally.
are very politically
Yeah,
correct,
no,
as
this
well
is
as
to-
thrusting.
But the Navi is an accepted word
Okay.
in the mythology of our land.
I didn't
What do
mean
you
to
think of
get
this?
us caught up in that.
This is what
Excuse
James
me.
has been responsible for with
yes,
others.
This is
Now,
very
there's an
gorgeous.
awe
It's a
factor in
relief.
here.
It's a
Yeah.
bronze relief I'm looking at. Little squares of different artifacts and
Well,
things.
they reflect the crafts and industries associated with that stretch of the canal over 200 years.
Wow. That is something special.
I mean, Newry, Alicia, was, and you're a Canadian, it'd be of interest to you.
I'm a returning migrant.
Oh,
I think I would call myself.
right.
If the Lennon Memorial goes on tour.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Born in Belfast.
But you were saying.
The Carville family in Newry had extensive links with Canada. They owned swathes of land which were afforested. They brought timber imports into Newry, and then they loaded the ships again, this time with people traffic during the famine years,
Right,
etc.
right.
So Carville, Francis Carville, there's a blue circle plaque, was unveiled to him at the Canal Court Hotel, because Carville's had a spade mill there in the early 19th century.
Oh, those spades.
You get the flavour of the antiquity of Newry as James speaks, and I'd very much like to thank you for coming in this morning, James. We're moving very shortly on now.
Not a bother, Rowan.
We're moving to Davy Beck, a good peeler of these parts. Does the name Peeler mean anything?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
Would the said Mr. Beck would he be a successor to the like of Dixon of Dock Green?
Well, you know something? I heard this on the World Service, not the World Service. I heard this on Radio 4 the other evening. They were talking about policing.
Yes.
They were talking about the fact that no police chief or no police officer in England across the water will have anything to do with the Conservative Party anymore, because the lady responsible for policing in the government, she went to their annual conference of the heads and gave out stink to them. This is what you did wrong, this is what you did wrong, this is what you did wrong. And their hope was that some way we could get back to the Dixon of Dock Green, the cop who knows his people, the cop who knows his area, the cop who's out on patrol, the cop who stands talking to the folk in the shop. Sure, we're defining Davy Beck and his men. Andrew, will you play for us now, if you wouldn't mind? Have you got What's the Crack there? It's there, yes, no, Andrew, give me a thumbs up. You're saying 1 minute, so we'll rattle on.
What's the Crack with Rory and...
It's Rory and Sarah. What's the Crack? You know the two.
Yes,
Andrew's searching for it now.
I love it, the Crack.
And it's almost there, and after that it'll be Davy Beck.
Just when you talk about the police and Davy Beck, there used to be a policeman,
Dick Bradley.
40 years ago. A wee
ago.
small man in Bestbrook called Joe Glass.
Yeah.
And when me and my late brother-in-law started driving lorries, and we didn't have driving licenses, by the way, but Joe Glass was a policeman in Bestbrook then, and he used to stop us driving the lorry. And I remember him stopping me on the Farkhill Road one day, and he said, he opened the door and he said, he looked in, he said, well, at least you don't need the cushions anymore.
He knew about you. But the thing you see about I remember as a boy playing ball on Mary Street in Europe.
Yeah.
And Dick Bradley would come, we'd be in the middle of the road.
Yeah,
Dick would come round the corner on his high Nelly being a push bike. And we'd say, oh, Jesus, there's Bradley. And we'd run like the billy-o and we'd get out of the way. But when he got past, then we were back onto the street again.
That's right.
The thing. Listen, we're now able to go to What's the Crack. Did you enjoy talking to this man?
I did. I'm curious what a high Nelly is.
A high Nelly is a big, old-fashioned bike. And there he was. And he wore a big, long coat. And he was there and he cycled along, you know, and it's so very, very stately. And a peeler, as he was the original police officer.
Back to peeler.
Back to Sir Robert Peel, who founded the police service.
Gotcha.
Note that I said police service, because force is not what it's about. It's the protection of life and property. The police service.
What's different?
You'll have the chance to meet the aforesaid Davy Beck very presently. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much, Rowan.
Nice to meet you.
And pray
thanks.
silence now
Appreciate
for
it.
Rory and Sarah in What's the Crack.